All right. Hey, how's it, everybody? It is 5 p.m. West Coast time, 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter. It looks like we have got a gear today, which is great. That means you can downgrade your stream if Twitch is twitching out. But alas, if you're watching this on YouTube, that gear is not for you. Although YouTube does have a similar gear, so feel free to explore the streaming parameters that work best for you. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're watching on Twitch, thanks for tuning in. All right then, so I think maybe it's time to get this party started. All right then, and before I forget, boom, let's start the background music. That is right. All right, so I'll tell you what, running a little bit ragged today, went and found, let's see here. So mistakenly, as it turns out, did an upgrade for my live streaming software, and a whole bunch of errors came up and this, that, and the other thing. So as I'm trying to fix all these things, I noticed in the tech world that everybody was saying yeah, don't install that download yet. It's huge, it's got bugs, and it's better to wait until they fix it. But I'd already downloaded it, and I didn't really know how to uninstall it, so yeah, we're working with the buggy stuff. Okay, so it looks like we have got more than just shock in the house right now. We have got okole tea. Oh my goodness, 103 degrees in Summerlin, Nevada. Vegas, baby. Yeah, I guess. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove here in the land of Molly's favorite Buc-ee's location, Temple, Texas. It's fixin' to storm like a beast. And thank you so much, okole tea. Yes, this updo was literally done at the last second because literally, as I'm trying to fix all these things that are erroring and popping up and saying error, I looked at the clock and it said 4:57. 3 minutes until I was supposed to be live. Didn't have my clothes on, didn't have my nothing. So this is all just boom, put together right at the last second. Hey Gina, good to see you. All right, and Andre's in the house as well. Excellent. We've got the usual crew coming on in. All right, so today I've got a couple things to talk about that aren't necessarily much to talk about, but more just kind of neat things to look at because well, we're not going to necessarily get a chance to see them. In fact, I've got a perfect example, and Kenny just sort of revealed it. Texas, it is raining right now, and one of the things that we're going to look at today, right now, as we speak, is no longer visible because of the rain that Kenny was just talking about. Isn't that weird how the interweb works? We're talking about, boom, to the second updates. We're going to get into that later, but right now, bear mail, exactly. If Derby has taught you anything, it's how to throw stuff together at the last minute. Whew, yeah, and all the prep work that you're doing to make things all fancy pants, and then you look at the clock and realize, I don't have no pants. I need to go get some pants. Because, okole tea, you say that naked streaming is probably not a good idea, and Twitch definitely agrees. But if you also have looked on Twitch, there are a lot of women, who, maybe some men too, but I've only seen it women, who are in the tiniest little bikinis. They're called hot tub streams. And, they do a chat show from the hot tub. And, dude, they make a lot of money. Now, I'm not so sure I would make the same kind of money they would be making if I did that. First off, I don't got no hot tub. Second off, I don't know if I've ever worn a bikini in my life, nor do I know if I want to. So, but maybe that's too much information. Hey, E-Music, good to see you. 60 degrees at 7 p.m. in Wisconsin. Sounds like a plan. I like it. I like it. And let's see here. It looks like we've got Andre throwing down the bits. Kenny throwing down some bits. Excelente. Andre, Kenny, thank you so much for the bits. Andre, pants not so much needed when only the top shows. You know, it's funny you should say that, Andre, because I made that mistake once. I made that, I did. I thought that one time. The one time I actually streamed with no pants on. That's right, I did. Was the exact time where all of my stuff was across the room and I was gonna have to like stand up and go get it. And it was just like, oh no, never again will I not be wearing no pants. I learned that lesson. The one time stuff was across the room was the one time I didn't have pants on. And so there you go. Bikini, isn't that an atoll in the Pacific? I think it is. But and why don't we just leave it there for everybody's sake? Hey, Bear Mail, thank you so much. Yeah, this is a honu, the green sea turtle that you find in Pacific waters in Hawaii, and Camuella Man made this many years ago, and I was lucky enough to snag one of those. And let's see here, 81 at 8 p.m. Well, only because you're used to it will I allow such shenanigans, Gina. Only because you're used to it. Let's see. Oh no. Let's see here. Your DirecTV satellite signal just went out, Kenny, because it's storming and Mala is freaking. Hey, Thomas the Turtle. Speaking of turtles, hey, Thomas the Turtle. Good to see you here. Cindy Krause in the house. And Andre's saying that that I guess the Bikini Atoll is not an atoll anymore. So what shenanigans, Gina? I'm talking about the 80 degrees at 8 p.m. That's hot shenanigans. Hot shenanigans are unacceptable unless you're used to them, I guess. So there you go. And Thomas the Turtle, yes, I got 2 of them as well, but alas, I only wear one at a time. Okay, guys, so I've hinted a little bit, and Kenny is talking about the rain. So here's the deal, you guys. Right now, we are super stoked that it is raining in Texas, and Texas is super stoked that it is raining in Texas. Even if they don't know it, they are super stoked, because as we know, there's not necessarily a lot of rain in all the right places right now. I think it's Pakistan might have all the rain that the world should be getting every place else, because, you know, lots of places are in a drought. Now, we could focus on all the bad things with the drought, etc., but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is go, oh, dude, check this out. We're not going to be able to see this very often. Things like, well, actually, before we go into the cool things, you know, first off, last time we talked about water dropping levels, someone did ask the question, so what's the body count from Lake Mead right now? And I decided to look into that, and it looks like right now, because Lake Mead is dropping in level, 5 different skeletons have been found, and many of them they are assuming are mob-related deaths. Why would they be mob-related deaths, you ask? Because that red dot is the Hoover Dam, which is what creates Lake Mead, the largest water reservoir in the United States. And look how close it is to Las Vegas. Yeah. You know, I was going to whip out the maps. So we've got the Las Vegas situation here. And back in the day, Las Vegas was created by a bunch of mobsters, and mobsters sometimes had to, like, you know, get rid of people. So Lake Mead apparently was the perfect spot for that, and alas, they are starting to get the body count. And it is currently at 5. And so, shock, great idea to put corpses in the water supply. Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, this water supply is really mostly for electricity, I think. And then, of course, agricultural purposes. Although I guess probably there is some drinking water that's coming from it. I actually have no idea of all the uses. But, you know, there's so much water, it's like it'll just wash it away, right? So, shock, your great grandpa ran a locksmith shop in Vegas. It's got a casino on it now. Not at all surprised. Not at all surprised. So anyway, so that's the gross and not so fun part of what we're going to be talking about today. But here's the deal: the water's dropping like everywhere, and so, you know, not just in the United States. It's dropping in places like Spain. And check this out, dude. They have just rediscovered Stonehenge, or a Stonehenge-like monument in Spain. It is in a lake that was flooded. I think it was, let's see here. Let me get my notes. It looks like it's a 3,000-year-old estimated shrine, Stonehenge type thing. They say it's about 3,000 years old. They don't exactly know what it was used for, just like they don't really know what the English Stonehenge was used for. But in 1926, it was when it was like discovered, quote unquote, discovered by locals. And then about 40 years later, the dam was built and the reservoir was created where this now is, you know, it was on land. Now, then it was covered in water, and now, since the reservoir and the river are flowing so low, it has since been exposed. And because you know, I love them. This is where in Spain, that little red dot is where that Stonehenge reservoir is. So we know that that Spain's a little dry. And so, so it's a dang good thing that Texas is getting some rains, right? And, yeah, shock, the starvation stones are starting to be revealed. And for those of you who haven't heard about the starvation stones, basically, many rivers in Europe are so low that there are rocks that haven't been exposed for like 500 years. And on these rocks is like old school graffiti that's basically saying, if you see these stones, cry. You know, they're just like, they're warnings of what that means. And so, yeah, that a bit of a problem. And Kenny from the Cove, when you lived in Rio Grande Valley, the river and Lake Amistad were just murky puddles. The drought was so bad. Right, exactly. And so, so even though we're all recognizing that the drought is awful, and I'm not downplaying that, but what I am trying to look at and emphasize is, well, gosh, you know, there's some things that are being revealed that's kind of neat. Another thing that's being revealed, and I don't have a map for this one. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. This is in China on the Yangtze River. They have many dam projects, I believe, on that river, and they're going through a drought just like the rest of us are. And in the middle of the river, which once was completely covered, is this Buddha in lotus position, and it is a shrine in the middle of the river. They estimate that it's about 600 years old, so it's kind of like new in the scope of archaeological discoveries, but still thought that was kind of cool that they discovered this really incredibly well kept. I mean, when we get to the close-up of the I'm sorry, but that statue was underwater for how long? For probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 years. The development on the Yangtzes are a little bit newer, the reservoirs, than what we've got in the United States. But still, though, incredibly well-preserved a monument there. And so a shrine, obviously, used to be at that point. And so I thought that was super cool. And so, like I said, these are just things that are just like, we're not going to talk about how awful it is that we get to see these things. What we're going to talk about is how awesome it is that we get to see these things. That's all. And let's see here. Andre, your Lake Merritt in Oakland is getting stinky because you have an algae bloom and it's killing the fish in the bay. And Lake Merritt, which is Baywater filled lake in the middle of downtown. Weird, a Baywater filled lake. Okay. They had to haul out all the dead fish. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Yeah, Shock, I'm guessing that it was because the statue was inside the rock, so to speak, that yeah, the water probably wasn't as, the water flow probably wasn't as what did you say it? As erosive, the erosive force. And so yeah, that's exactly it, Kenny from the Cove. We're spinning it. We are spinning it. And Pacola T, you know, gosh, you bring up a really good point. And I hadn't even thought about that, but all these stones and shrines appearing in dried rivers and lakes, and they weren't run aground by boats over the centuries. That's a really good point, actually. I hadn't even thought about that because, you know, perhaps at some point the river or lake was so deep that the chance of running aground on those stones was slim to none. But obviously it got to a point where the lake got shallower and the risk must have increased, right? Oh, yeah, that's an I'm so glad we're talking about this. And Andre, thank you so much for that gift sub to Bear Mail. And let's see here. Let's see, boats don't draft that deeply that a famine causing drop in level would be a problem. Unless mostly flat bottom skiffs were used. Yeah, it's, you know, well, yeah, obviously it all depends, but some of these rivers, reservoirs behind the dams used to be huge and deep. One example is Lake Powell. Now, this isn't a very good picture of Lake Powell. Because I wanted you guys to get the feel for where exactly Lake Powell is, which is like in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. So that is Lake Powell, and they are currently facing huge droughts, and so much so that they're actually thinking that the lake will never reach the heights that it used to be back in the day. And they're even talking about giving some of the land that used to be covered by the water back to the Navajo and the other tribes of the area so they can reclaim it and start harvesting some native crops there, because what used to be an extraordinarily deep lake is now barely a river running through it. But Shock, you know, a lot of these rivers, or most of these pictures, are taken on reservoirs on a river, so they're huge lakes. And so when you've got huge lakes, you've got more than just flat bottom boats. You know, you've got recreational boats. You know, they've got the holes and stuff. I mean, sure, it's not that deep, but there's plenty of lakes and lakes really in the Pacific Northwest that because they were done in a reservoir area, there's tree stumps that are, you know, still standing even though they're dead. And once the water gets to be a certain level, any boater, flat-bottomed or not, has to be aware of the stuff that they might run into. So flat bottom or not, and I'm guessing like on some of these reservoirs, it's not just not just flat bottom boats. You know, it's like recreational boats. And let's see here. Andre, the land's all messed up. Let's give it to the Native Americans. Well, yes and no. I mean, first off, it was their land to begin with. And second off, the Native American tribe want it back. Like, they're actively lobbying the state to get those lands back. So it's not exactly a case of like, oh, you know, we are not using it for a lake anymore, so let's just throw it away to whoever. The whoever is actively, you know, seeking this land out. So it's these developments are being worked upon by the tribal authorities and the, of course, governmental authorities that deal with the river, etc., etc. So let's see here. so And no, Shock, I don't have a figure on absolute drop in levels, and I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. So I definitely don't have those levels. But what I can tell you is this. So Lake Powell, in the middle of the desert, the whole upper arm of it is basically dried the flip up, and in doing so, they have discovered an incredible amount of dwellings and archaeological sites from the Native American times before the land was flooded. So in this picture, you've got a petroglyph. Now, you've also got a couple scratchings of people graffitiing it, which is something that the Park Service and the tribes are very concerned about now that these spaces are no longer underwater and they are accessible to whoever might stumble upon them. They're at a greater risk of being looted and vandalized. So right now they are talking about excuse me. So right now they are going through and cataloging everything that is still remaining, and they're finding that some of the sites are in remarkably good condition. Hey, Vanilla Coke Pepsi, we are talking about things that used to be underwater that aren't anymore. And so, so right now we're in Arizona area. Arizona, let's see. Yeah, Arizona, Utah area, I think is sort of the area. And all these things, there was, before the lake was filled, they cataloged over 2,000 archaeological sites that were just basically like, yep, we're going to cover them with water and we'll never see them again. And so now that they have seen them again, some of the land managers didn't even think that they would still be in existence. They just figured that the lake washed it all away. But other people were like, yeah, well, let's go find out. And as they're finding out, no, they didn't wash away. As you can see, some of these sites are still in like remarkably good condition. I mean, I'm a little unsure how the wood stayed there as the roof, but I'm guessing that the wooden roof in that other picture wasn't recently constructed, because they're just here to catalog the sites, not to recreate them. And so and so, yeah, exactly, Picola T. They sure don't build them like they used to. Because seriously, that brick or the masonry work alone is impressive. But then when the in that next picture, or the picture after next, you've got those wooden slabs on the top. I'm so confused. I just don't understand how this survived the water. I don't get it. But what is so awesome, though, you see, is people are going and archiving and taking pictures of, and like I said, they're not really sure if the water level is ever going to be high enough again to cover these sites. So, and so they're trying to make plans to either protect them or hand over the responsibility of the lands to the native tribes. Native tribes obviously would do the utmost to make sure it's protected. And that might even mean closing off the area to public recreation. But that's just my hypothesis. And let's see here. Yeah, Shock, that's true. Reservoirs aren't known for fast movingness, but still, though, you're correct, and I guess that is the only way, but I'm still gobsmacked at the let's see here, not that one, the next one. No, not the next one, the next one. You know what one. I mean, that's actually super cool right there too, but the next picture that we're going to see, this one, I'm sorry, man. It's just I just am amazed. And I'm not so sure. Yeah, the hypoxic cold water definitely preserves things super well, but I'm not so sure that is a factor in Arizona reservoirs. Like, I don't really know how cold that water ever really got in the realm of cold water. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Arizona here. So yeah. So anyway though, but now we're getting to the fun part. Okay, so we've talked about the Buddha statue, we've talked about the Native American stuff, but hold on, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Okay, now we're gonna talk about Texas. That's right, we're talking about Texas, because there's a place in Texas. See that red dot just southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth? Southwest? Yeah, southwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. That's what we're talking about right here, right now. And actually, right here, right now, you won't see this because just today, the Dinosaur Valley Park, State Park, where these pictures were taken, closed their trails to the visitors because no tracks are seen anymore. Because it's raining. But before it started to rain, as we know from Kenny from the Cove, it has been a hot, dry summer for Texas. Like 40, 50, 60, 1,100 days of no rain in Texas. That's the official count, 1,100. And because of that, this particular river, the Poxy River or something like that, dried up to such levels that all of these little dinosaur tracks were exposed. Now this park is known for dinosaur tracks, but some of the tracks that were exposed this year haven't been seen for over 20 years because the park got that dry. But just today, due to rains, they actually had to close the trails out, and none of the tracks are visible anymore. They are now underwater because the river is flowing again. And so I just thought that was the super coolest. And here you can see people, what they're doing. What they're doing is they're whenever these tracks get exposed for a long enough period of time, they go out, they have volunteers, and they clean out all the muck and the debris and the silt from the tracks. So then the tracks are really visible. So that's why the tracks are so visible, because normally there's sediment that has rested in them. But that's why the tracks are so visible, is because volunteers actually have cleaned them out so people can see them. But not only so people can see them, but so scientists can take plaster castings of them. And so that's what this picture is that you're seeing, is the volunteers are cleaning out the stuff, and then the scientists are doing the plaster casting within the stuff. And so there's at least 3 different types of dinosaur tracks, pteropod, sauropod, and then there's this one bird dinosaur that I don't remember the name, so I'm not going to tell you. But that, I think, is the super coolest thing that the drought has shown us so far this year. And I thought it was really funny that just today they disappeared because of the rain. And then Kenny came in complaining about the rain, so it just dovetailed perfectly. And so that's my show and tell for the day. That's my show and tell. So Kenny's got dinosaurs in his neck of the woods. And actually, I really think it's in his neck of the woods because I think that Kenny lives kind of close to Dallas-Fort Worth. So I don't know if Kenny has ever been to the Dinosaur Valley State Park or whatever park it is, but don't go today because all the trails are closed. That's right, because it's rainy. And let's see here. So that was basically my little we're gonna be all happy and shiny about the world going to hell in a handbasket today. That was basically it. So parrots are smart dinosaurs. And is that what you meant, Shock? You've got one bird dinosaur in the dining room? Yeah, I guess you do. Chickens, though, are the perfect example of little dinosaurs. And Kenny from the Cove, the drought has exposed all the dirt where your grass used to be. Well, Now you've got a mud garden. It's totally, you know, it's the new thing right now. It's a mud garden. They're all the rage in Texas. Shock, you've got the chicken dinosaurs in your freezer? Got it. There you go. There you have it. Dinosaur football started it all in Texas. I don't know what dinosaur football is. Oh, you think that there's a duck in the freezer too? I wonder, are ducks, I mean, are ducks hypothesized to be old dinosaurs? I know chickens are. I don't know if ducks are though. Now Kenny can have monster truck rallies in his yard. Nice. But you know, I think though you need more than just he needs to build hills for a monster truck rally so they can do jumps and stuff. And let's see here, Shock, you don't like turkey so much, so you use duck at Thanksgiving. And Cindy, 109 today. Your grass is very dead too, I would imagine. And I mean, a little bit of a waste of water, right, to attempt to try to keep grass living in 109 degree weather. You've got to be kidding. So Kenny, you're about 3 hours, give or take, southwest of Dallas. So hold on, you guys, I'm gonna get the dinosaur map out again. So dinosaur map is the dinosaur park is southwest, but not that far. So you probably live closer to the Texas on this map than the red dot, I guess. Although I'm not trying to dox you, Kenny, so I suppose I should just stop now. But go find Kenny. He's in Texas. I dare ya. That's right. I dare you to find him. He's in Texas. Just go find him. His name's Kenny. Everyone will know where he's at. And 113, says Cindy Krause. Yeah. You know, we've mentioned this before, and I will mention it again. You can quote me on it. No. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I think it's like 70 here. It's very warm in Seattle. I think it's 70. Andre, you thought Kenny lived closer to the water, I thought, than Dallas? Well, if he lives 3.5 hours southwest of Dallas, then he ain't close to the water. Wow, Cindy, you actually have hot beaches in California. That's right. It was 90 degrees at the beach. Boy, man, I'll tell you what, you guys, when you go to the beach in Washington, I don't care if it's a 90-degree day in the city or whatever. If you go out to the coast, the actual coast, you're going to need a sweater. I promise you, you're going to need a sweater. It's going to be windy, and you're going to need a sweater. It'll probably be 65 at the hottest. You're going to need a sweater. Let's see here. Yeah, Andre, you have cold water up in Northern California. I have no doubt about that. And yeah, no, Kenny, you would think with a name like Kenny from the Cove that it would be near water. I see where you're getting your relatively logical idea, but we're talking about Texas here, so there's no logic allowed in the conversation, okay? Okay. Kenny lives in a cove that's nowhere near the water. And it makes sense to people in Texas. And we're just gonna let them make sense. It's 6 hours from Capurus Cove to the Gulf Coast. Yeah, I didn't think you were that close. I didn't think you were that close to the coast. And oh wow, Cindy, next week they're gonna be in the 80s and you're gonna need a jacket. Yeah, you probably will, actually. Isn't that so funny how your body or bodies acclimate, you know? I remember in high school, we had unusually cold, a snap of unusually cold weather, like in the teens, and like the 20s was as hot, as warm as it got, you know? And that's not normal for the Puget Sound at all. So then, you know, we got through the teen 20 cold snap, and it got to be a balmy 32 degrees, right? You know, freezing. but it was 32. Shoot, man, I was just like, oh, it's hot. I gotta take my jacket off. It's 30 degrees out. It's hot. I mean, it's so bizarre because 30 degrees is not, just so you know, 30 degrees is not hot when we're talking about Fahrenheit. And Okole T extreme heat warnings in Vegas this week, but AC is pretty much everywhere. Yeah. And I don't really understand how extreme does the heat have to be in Vegas before they have an extreme heat warning, because the last time one of my friends went to Vegas, she literally, her shoes melted onto the sidewalk and she walked out of her shoes. Like her shoes broke because they were melted and adhered to the sidewalk, and she took a step not knowing that her shoes weren't going to come with her, and she just walked right the heck out of her shoes that were melted to the sidewalk. I mean, what? And let's see here. Hey, Ann Ware, good to see you. I'm not sure, it is when it's below 0. Oh, 30 degrees is hot after it's, but yeah, absolutely, dude. Totally. That's 30 degrees hotter, right? Right. You got it. And, yeah, Shock, I think that the Hoover Dam is still able to produce electricity, but you are correct. The moment that huge piece of machinery doesn't have enough water to power the lakes of Vegas, well, chances are we'll have chances are Lake Mead's body count will be higher than 5 at that point. So we'll just leave it at that, right? and let's see here. Andre, okay, Andre, you bring up a good point. Well, when Vegas is the same temp as Death Valley, then heat warning. Okay, fair enough. I can use that logic. That makes sense. And so our Wisconsin folks, our northern Midwest folks are chiming in. Yeah, 30 degrees is a heat wave after negative 20. Totally. And let's see here. So, Cindy Krause, your friends are bringing dinner tomorrow because you're the only ones with AC. Hear lots of people use swamp coolers because not that much humidity. Yeah, I can see that logic, but I don't see that logic. Not when it gets as hot as it gets as it. Whew, yeah, glad you have an AC. There you go. I can't imagine not having an AC. I mean, swamp coolers are awesome. One of my friends in Reno, her house has a swamp cooler, and it does make a difference, but not when it's 113, dude. And let's see here. Okole is saying, yeah, I'm seeing the water fountain all day in the hotel pool, because I suppose hotels get a pass. Yeah, basically. I think the latest water restriction that Las Vegas has implemented as a city has to do with how big a swimming pool can be installed in new construction. And that's about the extent of their water control measures at this point. So I'm not even surprised to hear that the fountains are still fountaining. Yeah. And let's see here. Oh yeah, Shock was just saying that. Yep, it only applies to new swimming pools. So there you go. There we go. Good to know that my resources are being, or my stories being confirmed. And let's see here. And I think we all wish we had relatives from Hawaii, but what is it that Kenny's saying to explain the cove thing? All right, so I'll dang it. I can't get it to where I need to get it. Why can't I do things? I want to see what he says, but I can't read it. All right, the story I got back in the day was that the first settlers in what became Capurus Cove felt like the 5 hills that surrounded the place gave the appearance of an inland cove. No quote me. That's just a story you were told, but you don't know because you weren't there. That makes sense. You're older than me, but you're not that old. So, all right then. And Oh, really, E-Music? Hawaii Island has a warning about electricity use being too high due to the heat. Well, I think E-Music, you and I have mentioned this before on this stream. Maybe it was somebody else, but electricity is so flippin' expensive on the Big Island. I mean, do people really need to be warned? It's just like, you're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna pay so dearly for that come the end of the month, right? I mean, I would think that lots of people on the Big Island would just be like, yeah, I guess we're gonna be hot because I can't afford the AC. Because shoot, the people that I knew on the Big Island, some of them had a lot of money even, were just like, oh no, we only take showers, we only turn our hot water heater on when we take a shower and blah, 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 and we turn it right off because it's too expensive otherwise. So let's see here. Cindy Krause is saying that if the Big Island is in drought, so is her area. Love the Pineapple Express. Yeah, the Pineapple Express. They don't call it that anymore, though. They call what do they call it? They call it an atmospheric river. Is now what they're calling it, and I'm not sure why. I mean, okay. I can think of a lot of reasons why they're not calling it the Pineapple Express. The first and foremost meaning is because it's a strain of weed now, but I'm kind of surprised. But I'm kind of curious, like, what the real reason was why they stopped using the term Pineapple Express. I guess now it's an atmospheric river, and let's see here. Kenny, the storm is messing things up so bad that I'm like an old kung fu movie. My mouth and my words aren't matching. Nice. That's funny, actually. Let's see here. Andre's saying they have Aroma, Texas. Not Aroma, Texas, but Roma, Texas. A town called Roma is what I'm trying to say. Not Aroma, Texas. That's Tacoma. Tacoma's got the aroma. Texas has Roma. All right. I have no idea if it has hills. But I can tell you, though, Andre, that yes, indeedy, I saw you mention that earlier, or say, jokingly, I'm assuming that Texas has hills. Yes, they do have hills. In fact, the area outside of Austin is considered Texas hill country, and it's really very beautiful. So Texas does have enough hills in one area that, they call it the hill country. Well, Bacola T, do you suppose, is that why it ticked off the people in Hawaii? I mean, because actually I was figuring that might be one of the reasons, is that people from Hawaii, just don't like getting blamed for the Pineapple Express. Whereas for me, I love the Pineapple Express because it is warm rain. When we get rain up here, we don't really necessarily get warm rain like other folk do, right? And so, it's usually a little chilly. So the Pineapple Express is just, it's so wonderful. But I can appreciate why someone else would just be like, I don't want to be associated with that. And, Bacola T, what? You mean pineapple ham pizza is not Hawaiian? No, it's Canadian. I knew that much. And, Kenny from the Cove, you live in the outskirts of the hill country? Okay, right on. So yeah, perhaps the first 5 hills of Capurus Cove were the beginning of the hill country or something like that. And yeah, Cindy, exactly. The rain is really warm when it comes from that route from Hawaii. It really is unlike other rains you get here. And in fact, actually, like the last atmospheric river that we had in Washington, when I was in Washington, I remember thinking to myself, gosh, this atmospheric river really reminds me of a Pineapple Express. And then somebody told me, yeah, that's what they used to call them. And so it's like, oh, no wonder it was so warm during that atmospheric river. It was a Pineapple Express. And oh, Gina Gambo, what is the Pineapple Express / atmospheric river? Well, what it is it's a storm system that starts around the Hawaiian Islands and it goes across the Pacific. And when you watch like the weather radar, it literally looks like an atmospheric river. You can see all of the water clouds, the rain clouds, just in a river-like formation, because there's that much of them coming directly to the West Coast. And so it brings a ton of rain. And the rain is usually really warm. So it's unlike other rain trends, which are cold, the Pineapple Express is a warm weather system that brings a ton of moisture. So much so that when you look at it on the radar, it looks like an atmospheric river. And so they got all scientifical and started using the scientifical name for it when people like me used to know it as the Pineapple Express. And there you go. And Kenny from the Cove, Pineapple Express was a great movie, a veritable celluloid masterpiece. Prove you wrong. I won't prove you wrong, but I do wonder if that Pineapple Express movie was maybe a factor in choosing to use the scientifical name instead of the slang term that we all know. Right? And sorry guys, I didn't mean to get all like, all scientifical on ya. And hold on, wait. E-music, the Pineapple Express even comes as far as Wisconsin with rain? Okay, well Gina, let me I clearly am wrong. It doesn't just hit the West Coast, but it's a bunch of rain that comes from Hawaii and keeps traveling across the United States, I guess, is really what it is. So there you go. And yeah, actually, it is and it isn't. I think it's really nice because it is warm rain, but apparently the last time I was in Hawaii in June, an atmospheric river hit the state of Washington, and it was a rain that, like, even the locals were just like, whoa, that's a lot of rain coming down. It was a lot of rain, and a lot of people weren't very happy about it because it was June and it was raining for a very long time. But whatever. And let's see here. Kenny from the Cove, you think I'd be a great meteorologist in Texas? Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I could do that or not, because I'd probably end up accidentally wearing the same color dress as like the green screen or whatever, and then it would just be like a floating head. Because I don't follow rules very well. So if they say, don't wear bright green, all I will hear is, you better wear bright green. You'd never see me in bright green, though. So, really, Picola T, when you lived in D.C., the weather folks talked about the Pineapple Express, too. Wow. Well, that's amazing. See, you guys, we're all learning stuff here. Gina's learning what a Pineapple Express is, and I'm learning that it is not just a West Coast phenomenon. I had no idea that it was something that that reached so far across the country. And let's see here. I do like to teach people things, and so shoot, if I could make science vaguely funny for kids or grown-ups, I would love to teach them, but it would definitely actually have to be kids that I was teaching science to, because I don't know very much science, and so chances are once they hit 5th grade, they'll know more science than I do, and then they'll have to, teach me. Oh, are they Caribbean pineapples that hit the East Coast, maybe? I don't know, actually. That's a good question. Picola T, are the Pineapple Expresses on the East Coast from the East Coast only the same phenomenon, or are they actually from the West Coast? So I don't know. And Kenny from the Cove, I could be your first goth weather forecaster. Limited markets, 1 household in Capurus Cove and 4 of them in Austin. Tune in every day. Very limited market. Goth weather chick from Seattle. Yeah, that would be awesome. But here's the deal, man. The weather people are scientifical and stuff, and I'm not very scientifical. Okay, so Piccola Tea, they were definitely talking about the weather system from Hawaii when referring to Pineapple Express. Okay, so they weren't Caribbean pineapples, they were Hawaiian pineapples. So I'm still very impressed. Wow, all the way across the country like that. That's insane. That's insane. Yeah, well, shock. Good point. If we talked about weather from the Caribbean, it's almost always hurricanes. I did wonder that as well. As I was asking the question, I was like, wouldn't that actually just be a hurricane? But I suppose hurricanes have a lot more to do with wind than just the rainfall. But still, I did wonder. And so they do say Hawaiians are everywhere, so why not their weather? There you go. Exactly. Yeah, but now it's no longer Pineapple Express. It's Atmospheric River. And I don't know why. And let's see here. Oh yeah, Shock, that's right. You got Lau Lau yesterday at L&L, which is great. Did you eat your Lau Lau yet? I'm hoping that you have eaten it yet. Soon, sometime. Because it's almost the end of your day here, there, where you are. It's only 6 where I'm at, or not even 6, but it's almost 9 where you're at. So did you have your dinner yet? And, you ate your Lau Lau, but you didn't notice the fish past the taro. Oh, maybe they were stingy on the fish. Because I have heard that some Lau Laus are a little stingier on the fish than others. Just saying. I don't know. I'm not trying to disparage your L&L, but I have heard. And so, okay, you did have your dinner. Good, Shock. Good. Kenny from the Cove, my first day in Texas. Yep, there we go. Listen up, cupcakes. You see the green stuff on the map? That's rain, Jethro. Take a jacket. Now go away. Pretty much. And, see, I don't know if Kenny did this on purpose. I don't know if Kenny has the wisdom of Seattle. I don't know if Kenny knows or if this was a mistake. But I'll have you note, I did not suggest taking an umbrella because no one in Seattle uses an umbrella. You get wet. That's just how it is. You get wet. So Jethro, you're gonna get wet. You don't need an umbrella, but take a jacket. There you go. Oh, Shock, so sad. 5 days out of town and your husband has to make you a couple meals so you don't live on carryout or peanut butter. Okay, so speaking of living on peanut butter, yeah. So several weeks ago, months ago at this point, I guess, I didn't have a lot of food in the house. I was not in the mood to do anything. I was eating peanut butter out of the jar pretty much all day, every day. That was my food. That was all I was eating. It's peanut butter out of the jar. Yeah, it was the peanut butter that was contaminated with salmonella. You know that recall that Jif had? Yeah, I was just eating poison peanut butter, basically, out of the jar that week that I didn't feel like cooking. I decided to poison myself instead. Whoa, you fried some okra yourself today? That's gross. I just can't. Okra, I mean, do you? Oh, God, I just don't do okra, but I'm glad that you did. And I actually am curious, like, so when you say you fried okra, I've never cooked okra before. I've just seen it cooked and it freaks me out. And, but do you batter it or do you just fry it? Oh, here we go. Egg and cornmeal dredge, salt, pepper, turmeric. All right, then. All right, there we go. That's impressive. Deep frying is such a flippin' ordeal. And you know, it's really, the times that I do bother to deep fry, I like overdo it because it's like, oh, I've got this hot pot of oil. What else can I deep fry? You know, it's like, give me that tortilla. Let's deep fry it. Let me get, you know, I'll make some cinnamon sugar for that deep fried tortilla, little homemade elephant ear. And so, oh, it's not deep fried, just big honking wok fry. Okay, got it. You can dry fry it, but you're sure that takes more skill than you have. Nice, nice. And yeah, Salmonella was basically Salmonella. Yeah, that was my pet name apparently that week. In fact, I was cramping a lot and wondering, literally, I said my boss overheard me say, "What is going on? I'm only eating peanut butter." Because I didn't know about the recall. And then once I found out about the recall, it was like, oh, that makes all the sense in the world. But of course I found out the recall when right when I finished the jar is when the recall info came out. So it was like, oh, yep, that was a jar of it. Was a jar of it. I know, exactly, Kenny. It's an ordeal, but deep frying has such a beautiful payoff. Abso-flippin'-lutely. You got it. Yeah, that's exactly it, Andre. Mad Statter's got a deep frying pan of oil. Hide anything that you don't want fried to a crisp. That is precisely it. And, Shock, that's hysterical. Did they know what they did? Okay, so Sam and Ella were the kids of your friend Sean's neighbor, and the woman would shout for her kids to come one way, her husband carefully the other way or another way, right? But do you suppose, I mean, that's kind of a funny joke. Oh, okay, so they didn't mean to do that. That's funny. They didn't mean to name their kids Sam and Ella. Sam and Ella, come for dinner. Yeah, that's not good. Sam and Ella, come for dinner. Oh, I feel like I might have to point and laugh, even though I don't have anybody to point at. I feel like I might have to point and laugh. Oops. Yeah. Oh dear. Exactly. Oh dear. Alrighty, so let's see here. Oh, you hated it when your mom called you home and she didn't know where you were? She would say, Andre in song. I don't know what song it is, but all your friends would tease you and you'd have to run home. Well, I guess it was an effective way to get you home. I mean, right? You got home real quick and everything. She probably did it on purpose. She probably knew your friends were gonna laugh, right? Oh no. That's exactly it, Shock. Throwing down the ha-ha emote. You know it. Oh, Shock, your mom's got a ship spell and rang that to have you come back home. And oh my God, Anne, no doubt. You knew you were in trouble, or when our neighbor's kid's mom would use his middle and last name to call him home. Oh yeah, anytime. Well, first off, actually, just the last name is an indication of, oh, something's awry. But the moment you get the middle name and the last name, it's just like, okay, where'd I put that go bag? Because I'm not sure I'm going home. I think I need to run away because I don't want to end up going home when I've got, all three names being yelled out. Never a good sign. Our moms in our neighborhood where we grew up they all adopted, at first they would just call, but then one new neighbor moved into the neighborhood, I guess, and she used a whistle to have her kids come home. So all the other moms were like, oh, that's brilliant. So then the moms all invested in whistles, and every kid had their own little whistle call, as it were. And so we will whistle that like dogs to come. Yeah, when the whistle was that my whistle or was that my sister's whistle? Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were whistled at. So let's see here. Yeah, of course. I think everybody probably in this chat is old enough to have been a free-range kid to one degree or another. Let's see. Katie from the Cove, Statters, late summer weathercast. It's August, Jughead. 2 words, hot and dry. How did you not know that? Go wash your truck, Jed. There you go. There you go. And you know, washing your truck in Texas is super easy. I swear to God, now I'm sure other states might be able to compete, but I have never seen so many car wash kiosks in a state, you know, per capita. I mean, they would have like, it's like the place to hang out in some of these towns, I think, in Texas, is the car wash kiosk. It's like the happening place to be. And if not at that one, at that one. And if not at that one, the one across the street. And if not at that one, the one down the block. I'm telling you, dude, Texas has more car wash kiosks than I've ever seen any place else in my life. Yeah. Well, it wasn't like a dog whistle. It was like a sports whistle, you know, with the little P, the referee whistle. Because she wasn't calling dogs, yo. She was calling her kids. And shock, is Texas car wash optimized for dust removal? Oh, I couldn't begin to tell you because I never went through one. But I just know that there was a lot of them. And I can only assume they must, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is when I got pulled over in Texas, my car was really dirty, and I told the cop that I was planning on stopping in one of those kiosk things when I got to Brownsville. Well, as it turns out, Brownsville was 800 miles away near the border, and that really caught his ear. He was like, "Why are you going to the border?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not. Isn't the next town up ahead Brownsville?" And he was like, "No, that's Brown Bomb," or whatever the heck. Some Brown. I was like, "Well, I knew it was a town with Brown in the name." You know, he was a jerk, but yeah. But I lied. I didn't go to that car wash kiosk when I got to Brown Bomb, Texas, or whatever the heck that town's name was. And and where you had the coach whistle for the telephone creeps the days before caller ID. That's funny. There you go. There you go. And so all right, so I think I'm going to switch gears for a little bit, because, you know, why not? We were all over the map. We were all over the map today. We weren't in one place. We weren't in another. And we certainly weren't on the mainland. Okay, we were on the mainland, but we're not anymore. So, we're going to watch Lono. This ain't the mainland.
Okay, back. Cool. Riding on the old Jack, way below the local speed limit. We know like how fast we go ekahe, elua, okole. Slow it down, brother. This ain't the mainland. Riding in the old Jack, way below the local speed limit. We know like how fast we go ekahe, elua, okole. The little grass shack, it's small but it's just enough. Now we plan la ekahe, elua, okole. All that luxury condos, brother. This ain't the mainland. We're putting up the little grass shack. It's small but it's just enough. Now we plan la ekahe, elua, okole. ain't the mainland. Sugar, 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 sugar. Sugar, 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 sugar. Na olelo o Hawaii, na huna o Hawaii, na mele o Hawaii, Noah, Gabby, Johnny, Kendi. Ooh, yeah. Na olelo o Hawaii, na huna o Hawaii, na mele o Hawaii, Genoa, Gabby, Johnny, Kendi. Don't forget Israel and Skippy. Carl Street. Sério.
All right, fantastic. Glad everybody was stoked about that little interlude. And yeah, Kenny from the Cove, that is super awesome that Lono's wearing that shirt of yours. And I do believe that Ann Ware was the one who got him that hat. So that was a full-on Hamajang Gang wardrobe that he was wearing in that video. And that video done from what am I trying to say? That video that he produced for his YouTube channel was done in his new studio, and hopefully we will be getting some new music from Lono coming out of that studio soon in the way of more YouTube videos or perhaps some other tunes that he might be working on. I'm not really sure what is going to be coming out of that new studio, but as Shock said, that disco ball was looking good, so there you have it. And eMusic, did Lono mention Kenny's song or Kenny's name in the song? I did not even notice that. So yeah, no wonder Kenny is super stoked. And yeah. Speaking of, so Gina, you're all, sounds like a train, which is true. It's supposed to sound like a train. Good ear. But there's also, if you might or might not have noticed in the background, he's got little horn honking sounds like during the chorus and stuff, because it's not the mainland, you know, honk honk. And honestly, I heard that song for like probably a year before my ear picked up on the little horns that were in the background. And I have to say, you know, it's all these little added extras that Lono puts into his stuff that just, because he's the one who does all the like all the instruments, all the mixing, all the recording, all the singing, like it's him, all of it. And so it's just amazing, all the little nuances that are added, you know, that really make the song so well-rounded. And exactly, and it's all the little details. I mean, and because they're just little details, like in layering. Yes, exactly, Gina. What is the song? You know the song. It's Shock's song, Believe. You know, and he's got these little doo-doots in the background, little background singer, doo-doot. And I love the doo-doots. I think the doo-doots are so cute. And so... Kenny from the Cove, was it you he mentioned, or Kenny Roberts? My best guess is it would probably have been you, because he was wearing your shirt. And the song wasn't written by Kenny Roberts, so there would have been no reason to mention Kenny Roberts. Kenny Roberts is a different musician from Maui that we were exposed to via Andy Boomatai's Daily Pigeon Live. I don't have any permission to play any Kenny Roberts songs, with the exception of Hot Shot, which may or may not be in the background mix. I actually don't know. But Kenny Roberts is a great musician. I, however, like I said, don't have permission to play his music, so you're only going to hear one of his songs on this channel, and it's a song that Lono produced, which is why I have permission to use the music, because Lono has given me and plenty other streamers permission to use his music. He is so generous that way. And if you haven't checked out his website, lonomusic.com, you really should check out there, because like Photo Luke has said, and like I will continue to say, the chords and lyrics section of his website is a great resource. Not only does it have the chords and lyrics to the songs, but if the songs are in Hawaiian, it oftentimes has the English translations, and sometimes there's footnotes of who wrote the song, or the context in which the song was written for, or little notations like, this song was inspired by this book, you should go check out this author and this book. There's a lot of information in that chords and lyrics section. And on top of that, of course, that is where you can go to purchase all of his digital downloads. He doesn't have any CDs available right now, so all of his music is basically through digital download. And unlike other streaming services or other music purchasing stores, this isn't the Apple Store, this isn't the Google Play Store. When you're emailing and requesting and paying for a digital download from Lono Music, you are actually contacting Lono Music, and you're buying music directly from Lono Music, which means it might take 24 hours for him to send you the digital download. It's not a click and buy kind of thing. You send a thing saying, hey, I want this, and then he'll email you back, here it is. So it might not be as instantaneous as we're used to in this online world, but it's usually less than a 24-hour turnaround. And if you want to buy the album that had the song This Ain't the Mainland on it, that is Old School 5, Passage to Pono. And quite honestly, Passage to Pono is probably one of my favorite Lono albums. I have a very hard time choosing a favorite Lono album, because they're all really good. But inevitably, when you ask a lot of Lono heads, name your top 5 favorite Lono albums, almost everybody includes Passage to Pono, Old School 5, as one of them. It seems to be an agreed upon, yeah, that's a really good album. So, for those of you who have not yet purchased any Lono albums and you're not sure where to start, I would actually start with Old School 5, Passage to Pono. Or Old Style, thank you. Old Style 5, not Old School. Oh, God, I can't believe I said that. Old Style 5, Passage to Pono. Thank you, Shock. And because there's a lot of songs that you're very familiar with, and it's just a great album. And yes, Shock stares at Mad Statter in raised eyebrow. I'm as shocked and appalled as I am, but I think we can all agree words are hard, but it's Old Style, you guys. Old Style 5. Old Style 5. I know, I said it way too many times. So, yeah. And Anne, actually, yes, Anne brings up a great point. Once downloaded, these files are easy to add to your own music library. So they're really not complicated. For folks who are like, but if I don't know what to do if it's not on iTunes, it's really not that different. It's very simple to add to your library. And so don't let that intimidate you. And Kenny from the Cove, didn't Lono sing backup on Hot Shot? Yes, Lono sang backup on Hot Shot, but he also produced that whole album, actually. He produced that album because he wanted to give some local acts. He'd already been to the studio many times. By the time that album was made, he'd already made 3 or 4 albums. Maybe even 5. Maybe even 6. I don't even know. And either way, he'd already made plenty. And he wanted to bring the studio experience to some of his his local Maui musician friends who were great musicians, but who just had never been in the studio. And so Lono decided to create this album for Kenny Roberts and a bunch of different other performers and bands, the names of whom escape me right now. I don't have the album details in front of me, but Heavy on Hawaiian Style is the album that I'm referring to. That's the album that you can find Hot Shot on with Kenny Roberts, and it also has a couple Lono songs on it too, Heavy on Hawaiian Style being one of them. So that's a great album, and Lono made it basically to help get his local musician friends inspired and used to being in the studio. And Kenny has since recorded other things, and one of the women who performed went on to get a Hoku award. You know, the famous Hawaiian People Musician Award. I can't remember what it's called. She actually ended up winning one, here we go, the Nahoku Hano Awards. And she definitely gave Lono great credit for getting her comfortable with working in the studio thanks to that album. So even though Lono hasn't necessarily, rocketed to the stardom that many of us think he should have, he has been working diligently behind the scenes for decades now to help promote other Hawaiian stars to greater heights. Yes, Lono is a catalyst. That is exactly it. And so, Kenny from the Cove is saying the old style, not old school, old style. The one with Puli'o'o on it is probably your favorite. I want to say that that's old style 4, but definitely don't quote me. But that is a good one. I do like that one a lot, because they're all good. And let's see here, Kenny from the Cove, between YouTube and your digital downloads, you got Choke Music, Lono Music on your cell phone. Totally, and that's exactly it, you guys. If you don't actually feel like purchasing a Lono album, the YouTube page is full of so many Lono tunes, and in fact, the YouTube page is filled with some Lono tunes that are not available on any of his albums because they're covers of songs that he really enjoys, or they're just on an album that he no longer sells, and he likes a couple songs off the album, so he performed them on YouTube, but you can't buy the album type of thing. And OS7 is also your favorite. See, that's the thing, though, Shock, right? It's so hard to pick. It's like, once you start, my go-to is just like, well, I was about to say old school 5. Old style 5 is always going to be like my first pick. But then in the back of my brain, I'm like, oh, but old style 3 is so great because it's got this and this and this. And what about 2? And then, it's really hard to pick one, guys. It's really hard to pick one. And I know you should stare at me like that. I'm offended, okay? I'm offended. I've offended my own self that the Lonobrarian has messed up that name of his album so many times, so badly. But it is what it is. All you can do, you know what you can do, right? You know what you can do. The only thing that's left to do is that. It's the only thing that's left to do. Yeah. It's the only thing that's left to do. And where you have all the albums and all in your iTunes, so you can make Lono favorite playlists for all occasions. Exactly. That is exactly it. I don't use iTunes because, well, I don't use an iPhone. And, but I have, I don't know how many Lono playlists I have, but I have quite a few. I've only got 10 minutes left to embarrass myself. Oh, good. And let's see here. And Lono all day, every day. So, as you can see, there might be 1 or 2 Lono fans in the room right now. And that being the case, you know who to ask if you need a Lono song recommended. And where might be able to help you out. She's got all the playlists. I might be able to help you out, but I'm going to tell you the wrong album. apparently. And then she'll just be like, dude, let's just get this straight, and she'll come in and clean up my work. So yeah, there we go. And or Lono alarm wake up tunes, Lono drive playlist with Holo Holo Ka'a. Of course, Holo Holo Ka'a, which I think, if I remember correctly, is one of Kenny's favorite driving tunes, is the Holo Holo Ka'a. And and shock Lono immersion, you guess. Yeah, well, you know, that is what it is today, I guess, for the last 10 or 15 minutes, while I just embarrassed myself because I got flipping old style 5 wrong. And oh no, you're not gonna come in and clean up my mess because you can't remember all of them. Well, you remembered enough to clean up my mess because it was a big mess. It's old style, you guys, not old school. It's old style. And Shock, you only know of OS2 from the steel guitar. Fair enough. And that is actually one thing that I do enjoy about all of the individual old style albums. God, now I'm paranoid that I'm just saying it wrong. Every one of them has their own flavor, you know. Old Styles 2 definitely, you know, is heavy on the steel guitar. It's got a little bit more of a country feel, even though it's older, traditional Hawaiian music. And oh, is there a lap steel at the guitar store there, Shock? Well, on your Christmas wish list there, maybe, perhaps. And see, I knew that. Kenny from the Cove, Holo Holo Ka'a is the absolute best road trip jam. That is it. That is true. It's a good one. It's a good one. But you know, God, what is the? I really like Holo Holo Bucky. Actually, is another song of his that I really like. And so, but you know, we could sit here for hours between Anne and Kenny and myself and Shock probably. Oh, another song that I like. So let's just say that it's safe to assume that most of the songs we like. Okay? And E-Music, yeah, you love watching the lap steel being played. I love the lap steel, so I love the sound of the slide guitar. It makes my country music bones so happy, because I grew up in a country and music. Yeah, I grew up in one of them houses. Yeah. Country and Western music was what we listened to when I was growing up. So, you know, even though I wouldn't consider myself a country chick, let me tell you, I can sing along with some of them old school country songs with the best of them. And if they got steel guitar in them, you know I'm liking them. And that's just how that goes. All right. So, hey, it looks like we are running down. And let's. Oh, wait. What'd you say, Shaq? Your folks switch from pop to country western when your dad stopped drinking? Shouldn't it have been the other way around? I mean, doesn't it make more sense that, you know, I've got a tear in my beer, so I'm missing you, dear. Seems like drinking tunes to me, right? So he did. Your dad. They did it backwards. I mean, I'm glad that he stopped drinking, but he did it backwards. Exactly. You get your dog back, your truck back, and your mom gets out of prison. Exactly. And yeah, E-Music, the steel guitar was invented in Hawaii, and I was really surprised to learn that when I went to the Experience Music Project at the Seattle Center, which started out as the Jimi Hendrix Museum, and because it started out as the Jimi Hendrix Museum, it was very guitar-oriented. I haven't been to the museum in a long time, so I don't know if this room still exists, but they used to have this one entire room devoted to the evolution of the guitar. And I swear to God, I think I've been to the museum twice, and that was the room that I spent most time in. I mean, everybody who's ever gone with me to that room, always says the same thing to me. Are we done in here yet? Can we leave? And it's like, nope, no, we cannot. I have to read. I have to read every little note about every little thing. And yeah, I've already read it. I don't care. I'm rereading it again. The room is an amazing room, and they've got a whole section on the Hawaiian steel guitar, and a very beautiful version of a Hawaiian steel guitar on display there. So if you guys ever do get to Seattle and you want to check out the Experience Music Project, definitely do that, but do it at your own risk, because I don't know if the guitar room is there. But if the guitar room is still there, let me know, because frankly, it's worth the price of admission alone just for the guitar room. But I'm a little bit biased. And let's see here. Don't go to the Met. Why? What's going on at the Met that I wouldn't want to go to? Does the Met have a guitar room too? In which case, I should go to the Met, shouldn't I? Oh, okay, the guitar room in the Berlin Music Instrument. Oh, the Met has so much stuff. Got it. Yeah, eMusic, seriously, if you ever do come to Seattle, Experience Music actually, I think Experience Music Project is now called the Mo-Pop Museum. It's the Modern Pop Art Museum or something. It's gone through a lot of evolutions. The building's still there. I can only hope and assume that the guitar room is still there, because it is a beautiful, beautiful display. So I really encourage you guys to to go check it out. Sorry, I just read what Kenny had to say. With the advent of autonomous trucks, there will soon be a country song where a guy's truck leaves him. That's funny, dude. That is funny. And yeah, you're right, Ann. That really will break a cowboy's heart for real. You got it. You better believe it. Oh, that is so perfect. Awesome. So on that silly note, all right, we are looking at 2 minutes to the bottom of the hour. So let's wind things up. I want to thank everybody for hanging out here today. I want to thank everyone for the bits and the subs and the gift subs and the resubs and all the bits and everything. And I want to thank everyone for putting up with my silly babbling about Lono and getting his albums wrong. And I want to thank the people who corrected me. And yeah, there we go. So let's see here. Today is Sunday, which means Wednesday is when we'll see each other next. And we didn't have Whale Talk Wednesday last week, but we might do we had a little Whale Talk Wednesday. We might not do Whale Talk Wednesday on Wednesday, but we will probably talk about the ocean in a different way. So it'll be Water Wednesday. How about that? So let's see here. What are we all saying? All right. So I want to thank everybody again. And also, I want to thank you guys. Where did it go? No. Where did it go? For those of you who hung out last night to watch City Slickers, thank you so much for that. Hope you had a good time. I know that I did. This is a better movie than I remember. And next week on Satterbox at the cinema, we're going to watch Zoolander. So if you haven't seen Zoolander, then next Saturday will be your chance. And if you have seen Zoolander, well, you know you're going to watch it again. You know. All right, then. Thanks so much, everybody, and I will catch you later.